President Trump again taking aim at the city of Washington, D.C., threatening to call a national emergency and federalize the district, saying he could even replace the city's mayor, Muriel Bowser. It comes after Trump says the city informed federal officials that it will not cooperate with immigration enforcement to deport undocumented immigrants. Brett Samuels, White House reporter here at The Hill, joins us to discuss. Brett, President Trump and the White House have been praising Mayor Bowser for cooperating with their crackdown on crime. What changed?
Yeah, it is one of those things, Drew, where it just seemingly kind of depends on the day in some of these cases. But in this particular case, Trump's frustration does stem from, it would seem, the order that Mayor Bowser had signed about a week ago, which more or less extended indefinitely cooperation between the Metropolitan Police Department here in D.C. and the federal government. But that declaration did exclude Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, from working with the D.C. Police Department. So that's sort of the big point of contention here. The White House has obviously made immigration arrests a really central part of its federal crackdown here in Washington, its crime crackdown. And so the fact that ICE would be excluded moving forward, which has been a big point of contention here in the district, that seemed to irk President Trump and sort of raise this latest threat to federalize the city.
Do we know exactly what is the current situation between D.C. and the federal government when it comes to collaboration on immigration enforcement?
Yeah, so, the mayor's order essentially excludes ICE from being one of the agencies that the Metropolitan Police Department is sort of mandated to cooperate with. So, there's no requirement under the mayor's order for DC police to essentially work with ICE to facilitate immigration arrests, for example. That was something that had been happening. We saw sort of in the early weeks of this federal crackdown where you would have individuals detained by police, and then they would kind of wait for immigration officials to show up and make an arrest, depending on the case of the individual in question. Of course, there were some high-profile incidents where, you saw a delivery driver sort of tackled off a scooter, and then the administration said that this was somebody who had sort of an order of removal for an immigration case, restaurant raids, etc. So the immigration piece of this had really been quite contentious and had been quite central really to what the administration was doing. And now sort of the state of things under the mayor's order is that there's no real requirement for DC police to work with ICE on those efforts.
Trump seemed to backtrack Monday afternoon when he basically said the crime problem in D.C. had been solved and there was no longer a need to federalize the department. But what are the limitations of what Trump can do in the district? I mean, could he actually just remove the mayor?
Yeah, it's not quite as simple as just Trump, firing Mayor Bowser, as much as Trump might like to portray it that way. A lot of what would have to happen for the White House to take greater control of D.C. would have to go through Congress because of the Home Rule Act, which gives D.C. autonomy through its own local elected officials. Obviously Republicans have majorities in both chambers of Congress, and we're seeing in the House in particular, lawmakers considering some bills to change D.C. laws or tweak the way things operate here in the district. But as far as removing the mayor, that is something that I don't think you're going to get too many lawmakers, or maybe not enough lawmakers anyway, to support that. But certainly, Trump has a lot of leverage, and he's not afraid to use it kind of publicly.
Would likely need some Democratic votes in the Senate to get that through, which could be a heavy lift for the White House if that scenario ever actually played out. But it does seem like Mayor Bowser is walking a tightrope here. On one hand, she has the Trump administration threatening the city's autonomy if she does not cooperate with ICE. On the other hand, she has their constituents in D.C. who largely disapprove of Trump's policies. And Bowser is expected to seek re-election next year.
Yeah, it really is, it's almost a no-win situation in some ways for Muriel Bowser, who, as you mentioned, she has her constituents to worry about. Polling has shown, and we've seen demonstrations in D.C. that have shown the fact that many in the city are not happy, particularly with the deployment of National Guard troops, having, troops and federal agents in their neighborhoods. So Bowser has that to consider, kind of what her constituents think. On the other hand, because of the way that D.C. is set up, because the federal government does have a fair amount of leverage in this situation, she has to kind of work with the White House, work with the administration. We've seen her, speak with Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, with Susie Wiles, the Chief of Staff of the White House. We've seen her acknowledge that crime is down, and not exactly forcefully push back on the deployment of National Guard troops. So it is this very kind of careful tightrope that Muriel Bowser has to walk to consider, both her political future, but also kind of the future of the district and its own autonomy.
Be interesting to see if Bowser seeks re-election next year as expected, who else possibly gets in that race. But for now, we will leave it at that. Brett Samuels, thanks so much.
Thanks, Drew.